Hey, good evening, and welcome back to Everyday Talks 24/7. It's Thursday, December 12th. Continuing to look at Christmas and how we can find the true light of Christmas. But often Christmas it devolves into people pleasing and stress. It seems like it shouldn't be that way. It's supposed to be a time of joy, peace, gratitude, thanksgiving. But so often it's not. Anger levels are up, stress levels are up. More people feel tension, psychological pressure this time of year. It really doesn't make any sense on the surface because it's about the most wonderful gift, as we talked about last night, that we could ever imagine. See, it's easy to forget the most clear commands of God and be conformed to a culture that wants to pull us away. Remember, Jesus said in Matthew, when he was asked, Teacher, tell us, what is the most important commandments? And they tried to trick him, the teachers of the law. But he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. In other words, everything that we're be about, especially at Christmas, needs to hang on these two precious thoughts from Jesus. Instead, we are interacting with a culture that wants us to conform, and there's a standard that the culture wants us to buy into. And that standard is that giving material gifts is a measure of how much we value people and ourselves. Giving material gifts is the measure of how much we value people and ourselves. And it's corrupted our thoughts and gotten deep inside of us. And we forget what Jesus says. Jesus taught that a man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. But we follow this culture, we conform to it. So instead of honoring and pleasing God first, our focus shifts to pleasing people. And when that happens, things get out of whack. This brings itself stress. We worry about the gifts that we give. Will they be accepted? Can we afford them? We worry about parties and gatherings this time of year. Well, what if I don't go? Should I go? What should I look like? What should we do? That stress continues to build over a time when there's supposed to be joy and peace. That stress often leads to debt because we prioritize material things, because we've bought the culture's lie that material things show the real measure of what we think of someone and what we think of ourselves. The negative result, the net result, is many folks are still paying off last Christmas and before because they prioritize material things. I'm not down on material things, but they cannot be the first priority. You can imagine all this stress and this frustration leads to anger. And people, this time of year, we seem to get angry more quickly. It's because we're caught up in mistakenly thinking I have to please people. Somehow we think that pleases God. But we have to please God first. That's the only way we can please people effectively. And then lastly, broken relationships. Again, I've done a fair amount of counseling. I've seen this. So many relationships are come to the breaking point over events that happened around the Christmas season. See, material gifts in and of themselves never bring true satisfaction. If that's all we're focusing on as a material gift, it never brings what it promises to give. So anger results from unmet expectations of the gifts that we give, both from those receiving the gifts and those giving the gifts. What, you didn't like it? I give all this time and money and you don't like it? Or, is this the best you could do? I thought this was going to be something special. You see how twisted and upside down it gets. So instead of conforming to the world's pattern, we must be transformed. As Romans says, to renew our hearts and minds so that we can give gifts from the heart to the heart. True gifts. We must see that relational gifts have more value than material gifts. See, we think if it doesn't cost something, it doesn't have value. And I'm going to be looking at this in the next few days about relational gifts that we can give. You see, if we love others more, if we love others as we're supposed to love ourselves, the material gifts will not carry a hidden expectation. And you know what that is. This is when the gifts that we give to others are really gifts that we give to ourselves. I give to see what is their reaction. Will they like what I did? See, that's about me. That's about people pleasing. It's not about honoring God first. It's not loving them first. It's actually loving me first. If we give, if we're transformed because we love God first, then the gifts that we give can truly be from the heart to the heart. And those material gifts won't carry that hidden price tag. If we can buy into being transformed, then the stress and the people-pleasing of Christmas will fade, and the joy of giving as Christ gave will dominate us. Again, I love your thoughts on this and feedback. I'm going to have coming up in the next several days. I'm going to focus on these relational gifts and just how valuable they are. But I wanted to start here. As always, just so much grateful for your feedback. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow, Friday the 13th. You have a great night. Bye-bye.